Recording in progress.
Good morning, honourable members and colleagues, and welcome to everyone to this Portfolio Committee sitting. I would just like to hear Babalwa, do we have quorum to continue?
Good morning, Chair. Yes, we do have a quorum. You can start your meeting.
Thank you very much, Babalwa. I just want to make sure that we all agree on the agenda, and that I can adopt the agenda. Are there any apologies, Babalwa?
Chair, I only received one apology from the minister. He won't be able to attend the meeting today. The department is scheduled to present in the CSPS Cabinet Committee meeting today.
That's fine. Thank you for that, Babalwa. No other apologies today. Okay. Colleagues, I would like us to, just before I start with the opening remarks, I would like us to also just, if you're comfortable with it, most of you, all of you should have received an email with a letter exchange regarding the blue light, the 8 VIP protectors of the Deputy President that assaulted members of the public quite a few months ago. You would have likely been able to read these letters, and I would like us to also today have a short discussion in this regard. I would like to ask that the committee consider this specific incident and the way that it has been handled thus far by the relevant bodies, including the South African Police Service, IPID, and to a certain extent the prosecuting authority, but more specifically with regards to the disciplinary process that has been, in my opinion, quite lethargic, extremely slow, and quite frankly, very frustrating, likely sending the wrong kind of message to the public. So I would like us to just be able to add that as well, Babalwa, as a short matter that I would like to get the input on the way forward from the committee as a whole. I think it is something that is very important to discuss. With that, I'm gonna start with some opening remarks. I think today, specifically on the agenda, is that the committee will be receiving a briefing on the budget and the annual performance plan of the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority, also known as PSIRA, for the 24-25 financial year. You would all remember that this consideration was postponed during our budget hearings just because of the lack of time, and that we were able to do the postponement because PSIRA was or is not directly funded through the appropriated funds, and therefore we could do the postponement. The committee will further receive a briefing from the Civilian Secretariat for Police today on the intended legislation that will be introduced in Parliament over the next 5 years. Then in terms of the crime statistics, the delay in the release of the crime statistics necessitated that today's agenda be amended to bring the scheduled meeting of 4 September forward. We thank PSIRA and the Civilian Secretariat for their availability. It is believed that the crime statistics for the last quarter 2023-24 and the first quarter 24-25 will be released this coming Friday, and we eagerly await the release and trust that the challenges experienced with the release were addressed. Important with regards to the crime stats release that I must just add as well, is that the Deputy Minister of Police yesterday also indicated that we would see a release this coming Friday. So it does seem that challenges have been addressed and obviously the release then approved. While some speculation was made about the delay, we welcome the commitment of SAP, the requirements stipulated in the South African Statistical Quality Assessment Framework in terms of the pre-release schedule of statistics. At this stage, it's uncertain whether the crime stats will definitely be released. But as I said, the Deputy Minister did indicate that we should see this on Friday. Although it has been the practice of the committee to receive the statistics before the public, the time frame did not allow it for meaningful engagement this time, and therefore the committee will consider the statistics next week on Wednesday with the Minister of Police. Colleagues, I know it's ideal to have it before, but we have now scheduled quite a lengthy time frame for us to actually go through this discussion regarding the crime statistics, and I also believe it gives us some better time to actually prepare our discussion points, questions, etc., for our engagement with the Minister and the team next week, Wednesday. In terms of some police successes, something positive, Operation Chanela continues to yield some arrest successes. You would know that Chanela is a high-density operation, and it has been conducted in several provinces, but this time the week-long operation in Limpopo province saw the apprehension of close to 700 suspects for various different offences. Amongst these were about 161 undocumented persons. And this joint operation with the police or by the police was done with several different entities and stakeholders, including the Department of Home Affairs, community policing fora, obviously private security firms, neighborhood watches, farm watches, traffic police, etc. And then also, you know, it's important for me to just mention that we mustn't just see arrests as success. I believe the operation is positive, but it's crucial that we are able to follow up in terms of successful prosecution for these large-scale operations. In terms of another disruptive operation that was conducted in the Sunny Soft, Stilfontein, and Podimo stock theft and endangered species units, or by them, last week, we saw that 3 suspects were arrested for stock theft and possession of suspected stolen stock. Various compliance visits were also conducted at livestock camps, communal camps, and cattle posts in the area. Saw that at least 69 fines for the contravention of the Animal Identification Act were also handed out, and we welcome these as stock theft continues to ravage farmers countrywide. We further applaud the work done by the Hawks. Yesterday, the Free State High Court granted the Hawks Priority Crime Specialized Investigation an asset forfeiture order worth 2 million rand. The intensive investigation led to the arrest of several suspects and seizure of numerous illegal items. And then lastly, we welcome the publication of the amendments to the regulation of the Second Hands Goods Act related to dealers and recyclers. We trust that the public submitted comments on the draft regulations and that these will be considered where and if appropriate. In terms of complaints, it is unfortunate that we have the Civilian Secretariat with us. It is fortunate, sorry, not unfortunate, that we have the Civilian Secretariat with us today. As I want to say a few words on service delivery complaints. As mentioned already in the previous committee meeting, we have been inundated with public complaints against the police service on various incidents, but mainly with regards to poor service delivery. And colleagues, I can really say that inundated is an understatement. This influx really points towards the frustration of the public. We all know this, we've discussed it, and that they are either unaware of the existing complaint mechanisms or that they do not trust these mechanisms, because in the majority of cases, when we do follow up with the complainants, they simply tell us that they are not comfortable with dealing with certain bodies or mechanisms that are meant to handle some of these complaints. And many people just simply do not feel comfortable with lodging complaints against some police members at the same police station or even at the relevant SAPS nodal point, which unfortunately is understandable because we've seen what often happens then. In terms of the transition of the Independent Complaints Directorate, IPID, or ICD, to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, has left a seeming vacuum in investigation of complaints against the SAPS, while IPID investigates allegations of serious misconduct by police officers. It no longer investigates less serious cases. And obviously, the Secretariat should apply their minds how we can address this vacuum and provide a more independent complaint structure. It would also assist for the Police Portfolio Committee to be able to actually focus on oversight far more than running the risk of becoming a complaints post office, which I'm afraid felt like it the last few weeks, because we were literally playing the middleman between all the different bodies trying to ensure that complaints were actually considered. In just the last few points, honourable members, the first one in terms of the Victims of Crime Survey, you would have noted that the Statistician General of South Africa has released the findings of the 23-24 Victims of Crime Survey yesterday, and the findings points towards a country in crisis. Again, I reiterate what I said earlier, we know this, and we will now invite Statistics South Africa to present the findings of the survey during our upcoming meeting, Crime Stats. Perceived safety is a crucial element and the cornerstone of the 2030 vision of the National Development Plan, that citizens are and feel safe. And I must say, everything that I've scanned through regarding the report that was released indicated that we already know that people don't feel safe, but unfortunately that trust levels are declining. It does, although, seem with the current operations being held, especially with regards to the public comment that we've seen with large-scale operations, for example, you saw yesterday in Durban with over 123 undocumented individuals being arrested and I assume prepared for deportation, seems to be quite positive. So it will be interesting to compare this report to a future one, but unfortunately it doesn't look positive. In conclusion, colleagues, I want to give the overview of the VIP Protector incident that I spoke of earlier. And I want to use the opportunity to call for resolution by the Police Portfolio Committee. It is crucial for several reasons. So let me start from the beginning. As part of the proposed legislative schedule that will be presented by the Civilian Secretariat today is the review of the South African Police Services Act, specifically Section 40 of the SAPS Act, and the 2016 SAPS disciplinary regulations. Directs disciplinary actions against police members, but these are wholly inadequate to deal with pervasive misconduct in the SAPS. And when misconduct is not met with meaningful repercussions, it simply erodes the legitimacy of the police. And we know the frustration regarding this. Colleagues, you would have recalled that recently I shared with some of you about a member from the Lentegeur police station in the Cape Flats, specifically in the Mitchells Plain area, or adjacent to Mitchells Plain, that went through this very 2016 SAPS disciplinary regulation process and was meant to be sacked according to the expeditious process. And unfortunately, this member was then simply transferred to another station after having been found to have not only transported drugs for a notorious gang in the area, but did so in and with a police vehicle. So when misconduct is not met with meaningful repercussion, I repeat that it erodes the legitimacy of the police. Police members are permitted to deprive citizens of their freedom and may use force, even if deadly force, if it means that they need to execute duties. And these are profound powers that can undoubtedly and unfortunately be abused and weaponized against citizens to induce fear of the police. And it's crucial for us to ensure that democratic policing must be based on trust and not fear. So in terms of the SAPS VIP protection unit, is possibly one of the most feared units by citizens and especially road users. We all recall of several incidents where misconduct was openly documented, whether by CCTV or by cell phone, of several different incidents. But this specific one in 2023 really grabbed the attention of the entire country, where the security detail of the deputy president assaulted motorists on the N1 highway in Johannesburg and was filmed and widely criticized. Despite the severity of this incident and the clear evidence of misconduct, more than a year has passed without meaningful disciplinary action being taken against the accused members of the VIP protection unit. And this delay in addressing such a grave issue not only undermines public trust, but also raises questions about the accountability mechanisms within our police service. I mean, it cannot be more than a year later, and they blatantly did what they did, and they are still being paid with taxpayers' money. And I've personally communicated with the Minister of Police seeking clarification on this matter and the disciplinary proceedings that have been stalled at this point. And the explanation provided, unfortunately, and including the non-availability of the accused and their representatives and the SAPS functionaries, are insufficient and simply unacceptable. Such excuses do not justify the protracted delay and the consequent erosion of public confidence in the enforcement of discipline within the police force or service. And it is imperative that we address this issue head on, not only to seek justice for the victims of this unfortunate incident, but also to really reaffirm our commitment to transparency and accountability, and more importantly of all, most importantly, is the rule of law. And the failure to act decisively in this case sends a very dangerous message that those in positions of power, and again, I want to emphasize the VIP protection units, they seem to be a cut above the rest and able to often operate in a way that no one else is allowed to operate in. And it sends the message that they can act with impunity and that justice can be delayed indefinitely. Colleagues, in conclusion, discipline is applied inconsistently in the South African police service. We all know this. The public speaks about it. We've raised it many times. And I think although disciplinary regulations clearly state what is deemed misconduct, in reality, it is open for interpretation and is very subjective. For illustration purposes, on the one hand, and this is very important to take note of, we have a police officer blowing the whistle on misconduct, including very serious corruption and fraud that was committed by superior officers at the Philippi Training College in Cape Town, who get suspended for reporting this and supposedly bringing the service in disrepute. And this is what happened in the last 2 weeks. But on the same time, on the other hand, we have 8 senior police officers who were filmed while beating civilians at the side of the road, even continuing with the assault after one civilian clearly lost consciousness. They are criminally charged, and yet they are still in the employment of SAPS. The actions of these members caused immense reputational damage to the South African police service. And while we do not know the intimate details of these cases, it seems unfair and inconsistent to punish an officer harsher for blowing the whistle on corruption than officers almost killing 3 civilians in plain sight at the side of a road. And in light of this, I've taken the step to bringing this matter before the committee today. And it is crucial to take a firm stand and ensure that the principles of justice and accountability are upheld. South African Police Service Amendment Bill must review and strengthen the oversight mechanisms to prevent such delays and ensure that all instances of misconduct are addressed promptly and fairly. And I invite members to make comments on this matter and propose the way forward. So, colleagues, those are the opening remarks. I'm going to start with Honourable Plaatjes because he already has his hand up, and then Deputy Minister Bushiwa, I'm going to come over to you after Honourable Plaatjes. And I would like us for the next 20 minutes to elaborate on the specific matter and get the input of the committee before we continue with the rest of the agenda. Honourable Plaatjes, over to you. Honourable Plaatjes, can you hear me? Honourable There we go, Honourable Plaatjes. Honourable Plaatjes, I'm going to come back to you. There seems to be something wrong with the audio. Can I go over to Deputy Minister Boshoff? I see your hand is up. Please continue.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to members of the committees, and good morning to everybody in the room. Thank you for this opportunity. Firstly, you didn't give us an opportunity. I wanted to apologize on behalf of DM Matali. He's attending the inter-government planning sphere with the Deputy President. So we just all over, we thought, no, we take the committee very serious and really shed our responsibility among ourselves to make sure that we're here. Secondly, Chair, my understanding was that today we are here for PSIRA and IPIT because we did the civilian secretariat as part of our budget when we did the other one. And I'm not sure whether do you want me to make some comments on what you have just raised, or I'll do it later after bringing this two into your attention.
Thank you, Minister. That's 100%. Thank you, first of all, for the apology. Sorry if I missed your hand a little bit earlier. I understand it. I know the program for everyone is extremely full at the moment, so that's no problem. And thank you for availing yourself to be with us today. I see Deputy Minister Matale is on the meeting, so I will hand over to him a little bit later if need be. If you don't mind, Minister, I'm going to come back to you with regard to the VIP issue. We are going to handle the PSIRA matter today. Okay. I just wanted to get the input of the committee regarding the specific issue at the with regards to the VIP protection units.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and welcome, dear Matali. For sure, you move from the meeting. That's what I was saying, that we take the committee very seriously.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And welcome, Deputy Minister Matale, as well. Honourable Plaatjes, I'm going to hand over to you. Honourable Plaatjes, it seems that your, I don't know if it's the microphone giving us silent treatment today. I'll come back to you again soon. I'm going to hand over to Honourable Chickerling.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to all the colleagues. Chair, I would like to support you in your in your issue with the VIP 8. I feel that it is grossly unfair that these members are still not suspended and that nothing has been done to them. We have to have a better cohesive working relationship between the citizens of our country and the SAPS. People are afraid of the police, and that is causing us to have immeasurable problems. And as you rightfully said earlier on, our country is in crisis, and we have to take steps to make sure that our citizens are looked after and they're treated fairly. And as the SAPS stands for police services, we should be there to render services and not to instill fear into the citizens of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chickerling. I appreciate that. Honourable Swasana, are you with us today? I see you are there. Would you like to add anything regarding this specific matter?
Good morning to everyone, to the Chair, to the Deputy Minister, and all the members. Indeed, it's quite disturbing to hear that nothing has been done, in terms of police act about all those members who we know. And I think the public and the country is waiting to see whether their behavior will be condoned or there will be consequences. But anyway, I'll listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Swasana. Honourable Plaatjes, we can try again.
Can you hear me now, Chair?
There we go. I can hear you and we can see you, Honourable Plaatjes. Please continue.
No, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson. Look, Chair, I wanted to come into the adoption of the agenda. I feel it paramount that we maybe should put a point on the agenda on the program scheduling, because that is actually hampering my attendance to this committee, and I think other colleagues also. So it's important that we maybe put the program schedule on so that we get something on a draft today and maybe come back and adopt it, because we have seen and consulted our diaries. So I think it's important that we put that in, Chair. I don't want to miss committees because there's clashes of committees that I haven't given input in. I just wanted to have that point on agenda, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Plaatjes. Honourable Letlape, I'm struggling to see you here, but I know you are on. Honourable Letlape, do you have any specific comment regarding the VIP matter? If I recall, you spoke about it in the recent past as well. I'd just like to hear if you've got any specific comment regarding the matter.
No, thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to you and colleagues. I think, Chair, really the other honourable members have stated that we can't be discussing the conduct of police officers, especially those who are given a responsibility to protect political heads of this country, because these are the individuals who actually think that they are above the law. And if we need to set precedents, it needs to be with those who are in close proximity with the executive. And I think it's very disappointing that VIP protection of the deputy president conducted themselves in a manner that they did, and they are still operating as if everything is normal. And in fact, I think that the committee needs to take a stance that we need to follow up and make sure that the issue of this protection, the VIP protection, gets attended immediately, and that the proper procedure that needs to happen to the conduct that they conducted themselves with need to be given attention, and we need to resolve it as urgent as possible. It can't be that police officials or police officers conduct themselves the way they did, and they are somehow overlooked because they play a particular role in government. And it is for that particular reason that we need to take it serious, and we need to set proper precedents on what is it and what conduct are we expecting from police officers. So, Chair, it's really disappointing, and I hope that after this meeting, there will be a resolution of this committee that we need to follow up on it, and this issue needs to be prioritized. Those police officers should have been suspended already. Leave alone anything, leave alone the investigation. Everybody saw what happened on the scene. And on that basis, they need to have been suspended so that thorough investigations can be done. And it can now have to be reduced to now the committee must discuss something that was even in the public eye. And the particular department that was supposed to look into it did nothing about it. So it's really disappointing, Chair, and I hope that from here, this portfolio committee will follow up on it and make sure that it gets attended immediately. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Letlape. Honourable Ghana, I'm going to come to you in 2 seconds, just for clarity's sake, specifically regarding this matter. Those members, the disciplinary process has been so slow that those members were suspended and they're already back at work. So although they have been put on administrative duty, or so we are told, they are back at work. And so I've got many questions regarding that. I know that the prosecution process regarding the criminal matters is taking its course. I understand that last week the matter was in the Randburg Magistrates Court again, and all of them appeared there, and there was a whole process of calling witnesses to the stand, etc. But in terms of the disciplinary process, I just find it extremely lacking, and it took so long. And as I said, they're already back at work. And colleagues, for clarity's sake, and I'm sorry for laboring the matter a little bit, but for clarity's sake, if a crime is committed by someone and there is reason for, as I said in the opening remarks, and there's reason for an arrest or some kind of criminal conduct occurred, then police members stay behind and they safeguard the scene. They arrest who needs to be arrested. And what happened after that specific incident was not that. It literally looked like thugs that left the scene. So therefore, I want to make it unequivocally clear that this case will not go away. We will keep it as a standing point, as you've heard from all of the members. Honorable Plaatjes, you spoke about it before as well, Honorable Lehlape, and so on. It will not go away. We will keep it as a standing point, and we will keep on asking questions until we see that there is fairness in the specific process. Honorable Ghana, over to you, and then I'm going to go to Honorable James. Honorable Ghana.
Thanks very much, Chair, and good morning to you and the colleagues and the deputy ministers on the call. I think in terms of the analysis of the issue and the frustrations, it's clear. I think what we need to do is to take advantage of the minister and the national commissioner coming to present to the committee next week to brief us on two matters. One relating to the general conduct of the VIP, and maybe so it could very well be that myself, I don't understand why they behave in the manner that they do. Whether they believe that or they are instructed that because you are transporting politicians, you need to behave in a particular way that is unbecoming and it's causing serious issues with other road users, but also general public, because it's not only on the road. It's also when politicians are interacting with the public, how the VIP protection behaves. It's in a way that tries to keep politicians far away from the people that they are meant to serve. So a briefing in that respect, so that we best understand. Because if we maybe move from the point that they need to behave in the like me, and whereas they are being given instructions to behave in the way that they do, we need to understand where that instruction comes from. And the second one, Chair, it's around the general disciplinary within the SAPS, the disciplinary processes. What are the holdups? Is it the issue of the unions? Is it the issue of internal capacity of the SAPS to be able to ensure that the disciplinary processes run as quickly as they should be? Because I think where there might very well be a competition with the JSC in terms of how long they are able to finish or finalize their cases. So those will be my requests, that to keep this matter green in terms of keeping it on our radar, but we must go further than this particular issue to start understanding and providing a bit of oversight on the disciplinary processes, but the general conduct of the VIP protection unit. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Honourable Ghana. Agreed and noted. I will give feedback accordingly. Honourable James, and then I'm going to go to Honourable Muela.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honourable members. Chair, I just want to welcome your proposal for us to bring closure to this matter. We have seen the abuse of this kind of power, not only with the ministers, protectors, we have seen it throughout all spheres of government and wherever we go. So I think it's important that we also deal with this matter swiftly and that we communicate it strongly to the public. This video was circulating all over, and I think the public needs a response from this committee. Also, I want to ask, what about the recourse for the victims of this incident? What are we saying about that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable James. Just in terms of the victims, I did attend one of the court matters quite a few months ago on some of the first appearances of the accused, and it is quite a stressful process. You can imagine the risk of intimidation, and so I think it's crucial that it be taken into consideration what we can propose in order to ensure that victims not only get protection, but that they are that they really are looked after in terms of aftercare when these things happen. Honorable Muela, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Chairperson, and greetings to all the portfolio committee members, and greetings to all the departments which are in attendance. I think the matter with regard to the VIP protection has already been touched thorough in terms of the approach that should be taken. So I think we also need to take into consideration the fact that the matter is in the hands of the IPID and also the department. I've undergone through all the letters which we had in correspondence, most particularly from your office, Chair, with regard to the slow pace which the matter is undergoing. So my view is that maybe we should just maybe try to get the clarity from both the department and also the IPID. So as to what will lead to the delay, so that we'll take it from their point of view in terms of coming to give clarity with regard to the matter. And then we'll take it from there, rather than just having a correspondence with regard to communicating via the letters, and so that we cross-question and check the process. If there are hiccups in terms of the process, also to note what might lead to that particular matter. And I've heard you on the remarks that there are some of the members who are already back at work. Maybe we should understand and try to check what led to that particular matter, where were they on suspension or a particular suspension which will lead to a particular duration or whatsoever. Maybe we get all the full report as to what is the matter before we can then determine what will then be a way forward. My proposal is that let's get the clarity from all the IP, because they are dealing with the matter, and also the department in terms of the disciplinary part. Thank you very much. That will be my submission.
Thank you very much, Honorable Muela. I will give feedback on that too. Noted. I agree with you. I think in terms of feedback on the disciplinary process is crucial to me. We must understand that I know the minister and his team has adequately questioned this, and I'm of the opinion that I grasp that they also feel like there seems to be a delay of some sort. So we will make sure that we follow up on those that are busy with the disciplinary process, and I will give feedback accordingly, and hopefully we can also get some feedback there. I have noted, you would have also seen that there was a very positive move with regards to disciplinary proceedings in SAPS in the Western Cape over the last 2 weeks, where the previous head of crime intelligence was asked to leave his office after a very lengthy and detailed inquiry done by the South African Police Service with regards to his fitness to hold office, and there's still criminal proceedings that are ongoing after charges were laid for defeating the ends of justice, kidnapping, etc. So I would like to applaud, on the other hand, SAPS for the handling of that specific matter, and that it was eventually resolved. Colleagues, with that, I think we should continue, if you are comfortable, with the rest of our agenda for today. I would like to ask, just before we do, Honorable Boshio, DM, would you like to add something? The idea wasn't necessarily to really start a debate of any kind, or to also make you feel like there is criticism regarding yourself. We are really wanting to tackle the disciplinary process that seems slightly slow. So please, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. No, we welcome the criticism. I think that is what will make us strong as we go on and not be complacent. Let me also indicate to you that we have asked this civilian secretariat to join us, Chair. As I said, we take you very serious. They are in the meeting, they've joined us if there's anything to be presented. Just a comment on the issue of the VIP. Yes, we saw all of it before we even came to the office. Of course, it was like very strange to us, I must confess. But also, it's not true that we're not necessarily doing anything. On the 6th to the 8th of August, they appeared before the disciplinary committee of the department, which was postponed to the 29th and 31 August, tomorrow and Thursday. But also, on the other hand, you're constrained by the court case that is going on at the moment, because it's very difficult to comment when something is before the court. But the reason why they were suspended, the reason why they were brought back or the suspension was uplifted is because of the laws of this country. In terms of the labor law, you can't suspend somebody for more than 90 days. So they've been suspended for 90 days. Unfortunately, the court process is still going on. That's why they have to come back, and they're just doing administrative work. But it's frustrating, but it can't be us breaking the laws in terms of their rights, in terms of the labor. But we are closely monitoring the case, and we want it to be finalized as soon as possible. And I'm happy that you are raising this issue because, Chair, as you know, it is not only this case only. The relationship between us and justice really need to improve with other cases also, not necessarily this one, because we must not look as if we're looking at one, there are no other thing. The entire integrated justice system need to be looked at and behold. We catch people, like you're saying, for Chanela, for the last week, 14,422 suspects were arrested. But if they don't appear before, for 48 hours, they're going to be released. And there you have people who are caught for attempted murder and all those kind of things. Our hands are tied. We work very hard. We arrest, but then tomorrow they go out, and like the Kailicha one where you went, Chair. Remember, there was that case we successfully through crime intelligence, foiled it and then arrested. But the following day they were out, and it's just frustrating as we are. But I think we have requested a meeting with the Minister of Justice and Development, the ministry actually, and then we'll be able to sort out this matter, because it's not for this case only, and it's for everybody. So we are here to effect changes and make sure that all the people who break the law are paying for their prices, not necessarily that, but also we must be careful of not breaking the law ourselves, because if you can look also on our legal services, they are very high, because if we break the law, they take us to court and all those kind of things.
Yes.
So we want to be very careful as we do that. In terms of the behavior, of police is not necessarily all the, even in our own home, we'll just have this rogue, person who just goes the other way. So it's not a directive to the VIP protectors that they must do whatever. It's just an individual themselves. The other day we met the human resource section of our department, and they were giving us a report as we were coming in. And then there was this video of a police man, I think you saw it, Chair, where he was drunk, and then people took the video. But looking at it from where I am, I said to the management, is it not a problem of wellness? I mean, the police are overwhelmed. The detective do around 200 to 300 dockets. We don't have people who we have shortage of staff, especially crime intelligence and the detective. And sometimes it's so frustrating, because I don't believe that a man of that age can just wear a uniform and just decide to be drunk. There should be something that is not going on, and our welfare need to up the game and be able to support our officers. They are short at on Sunday. Chair, I hope you got the invitation. We are relaying for the fallen police. So they were shot, you know, in the line of duty. We are not talking about them, you know. We only see the other side and not see both sides. So we are trying, you know, to make sure that we can't just lay a wreath for more than 200 police who have been killed on duty trying to do their work. You know, we need to also come with other things. We were even discussing in the meeting to say, who cater for their families? Do we also request support from the criminals, you know, to support, to pay the families, like when they demand from us that we pay for something or not? So maybe the committee should be able to assist us on this regard. So in terms of the behavior, there is no law that says people must behave like this and whatever and whatever. It was just an isolated case. We need to treat it as such. And yeah, I think that's what it's not the unions, it's not any other thing. It's just that our justice systems need to do that. And Chair, we met with the correctional services also, the ministry, and we agreed that we need more meeting where when we arrest and then there is a successful prosecution, and then after 6 months they get parole and back to the community. So, and they said their correctional facilities are full to the brim. But the problem is we can do that. We don't encourage or discourage people from doing crime because they know they can serve 1 year and go out and continue to do that. So we are also in discussion with them. We are also in discussion with the Department of Social Development, where we are proposing, Chair, that in each and every police station, there should be a social worker, because you know that police are trained to look for criminals, not necessarily to deal with sensitive issues of rape, you know, and children and whatever. So the social worker will also be able to be part of the community and assist in terms of the community. So we are trying very, very hard. It's not easy, and the budget constraint and everything, but we're trying our best. But in terms of the behavior and things that are coming out, it's not necessarily all the police officers, it's just a few. But also on the other hand, let's talk about police who are killed. The ceremony on Sunday, Chair, if you are there, you would not want to attend it. You know, I'm scary. I don't want to, because it's tears the whole time, because you see the family of the police officers, the wives, the mothers, and everybody crying there. It's just not a good sight. And they died on duty when they're doing their work. So I'm just saying, let's also look at both sides. Maybe we need a session to be able to go through all these things. But let me assure you, Chairperson, we are here to make sure that things are not or business is not as usual. It's unusual. We want to disturb the system so that we are able to get it right. With your guidance and your criticism that we are taking in good faith, we'll be able to get somewhere. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your input. Yeah, thank you very much. Colleagues, I would like us to please continue with regard to the adoption of the minutes that were sent by Ms. Mbengu to you. I want to consider and then obviously do the adoption of the minutes for the previous meetings. You would have received then, those were the meetings for the 10th of July, 12th of July, and the 21st of August. Any objections to this? Can we move on it? Can we continue to adopt the minutes for those meetings? There are no objections to that. Honourable Schikkerling.
Thank you, Chair. I hereby move to adopt the minutes of the meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Schikkerling. Honourable Mokoena. Honourable Mokoena, you can continue. Honourable Mokoena, I'm not sure if you are muted. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, I support the move, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mokoena. So with that, I think we can continue to adopt the minutes and move on that. Colleagues, from there, I would like to ask that if you are still comfortable to do so, to continue with the presentation by the Civilian Secretariat with regards to the legislative schedule for the 7th Parliament. And then after that, we will continue with the PSIRA presentation. So let's start with the Civilian Secretariat, from where we will then continue. Over to you. Thank you in advance too for joining us today and availing yourself to go through this with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have delegation from the Civilian Secretariat as led by the DG, Mr. Sibui, and he'll be the one who's presenting. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Morning, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable members, to Deputy Minister Bushielo and Deputy Minister Matale, and all senior officials on the platform. Thanks very much, Chair. We will flight the presentation on the legislative program for the 7th administration, and the presentation is going to be led by or presented by Advocate Bell, who is Chief Director for Legislation and Development. Thank you very much, Chair. But to also indicate, Chair, that we are in relation to transitioning of IPID in relation to complaints. We are already in discussions with provinces and ourselves to try and enhance the issue of handling of complaints, because we have determined various problems that we have, especially capacity problems, which we are now handling, because we realize that after the amendment of the IPID Act, there will be a flooding of complaints resulting from the transitioning. But let me hand over, with your permission, Chair, to Advocate Bell to start with the presentation. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you so much, DG. 100%. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Deputy Ministers, honourable members of the committee, Secretary for Police, and all colleagues on the platform. I'm going to start with the presentation then on slide 2, just to give you a brief overview of how I'm going to deal with this presentation. So I'm first going to deal with the purpose, then I'll go to the background and discussion, a list of the bills that are on the proposed schedule, the timeframes and objectives of these bills, and then the recommendation to the Portfolio Committee. Slide 3, please. Chair, the purpose of this meeting, of this briefing, is to brief the Portfolio Committee on the proposed legislative schedule of bills the department intends to process during this administration. Slide 4. In terms, Chair, of the background and some discussion, so on the 25th of March 2023, during the last administration, the Leader of Government Business informed all members of the executive that only bills that were already in the cabinet system and have been approved for public participation and introduction to Parliament will be included in the 2023 legislative program for further processing. Chair, it was anticipated that since 2024 would be an election year, Parliament would not have sufficient time to process new legislation. Chair, this is referred to in particular to Section 76 bills, which is a longer process because it involves province consultations. So these would not be concluded by December 2023. Slide 5. Still on background and discussion. As a result, our annual performance plans had to be amended to only reflect the processing of the IPID, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Amendment Bill. Chair, this bill was already approved by Cabinet on May 24, 2023 for introduction in Parliament. The other bills, Chair, including the SAPS Amendment Bill, were removed from the legislation program for this period. Then, in view of this, the former Minister of Police informed the Leader of Government Business in September 2023 of the reprioritization of the legislative program, and that the SAPS bill will be dealt with by the 7th administration after the 2024 elections. Slide 6, Chair. Still on background. So the newly appointed Portfolio Committee on Police of this administration requested the CSPS to brief the committee on the schedule for the 7th Parliament today. So considering the different stages, Chair, and the processes as well as external structures through which the bills will have to be processed, a 5-year schedule had been developed that demonstrates the various processes and envisaged timeframes within which legislation would be finalized. Slide 7. Still on the background. It should, however, be taken into consideration, Chair, that the development, the progress and prioritization is always guided by the legislative program for each financial year and may be influenced by, amongst others, directives from the Leader of Government Business, the Portfolio Committee on Police, and other relevant court judgments. Chair, the other reasons that would actually, amongst others that I talk about, is, for instance, where acts predate the Constitution, these will have to be aligned, and then also where acts hamper the operations of the entities under the Minister of Police and are difficult to implement, these will also have to be revisited and reviewed. Then, based on the proposed 5-year schedule, the CSPS proposes that 7 bills should be considered by the 7th administration. Slide 8, Chair. So, Chair, I come on now to the list of the bills on the proposed schedule. And these bills that were identified for processing are as follows. The South African Police Service Amendment Bill. That one, Chair, is also considered to be a Section 76. The Firearms Control Amendment Bill, this one is considered to be a Section 75. The Second-Hand Goods Amendment Bill, also Section 76. The Stock Theft Amendment Bill, which is also 76. Critical Infrastructure Protection Amendment Bill, which is Section 75. The Civilian Secretariat for Police Service Amendment Bill is a Section 75. And the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill, which is deemed to be a Section 75. Just for an explanation, Chair, Section 76 bills affect the provinces and must be considered by both houses. That's the National Assembly and the NCOP. And the Section 75 bills do not have the effect on that kind of effect on provinces. Chair, we come to slide 9. I'm going to deal now with the timeframes and the objects of the bill. So based on the proposed 5-year schedule, the timeframes are as follows. With regards to the South African Police Service Amendment Bill, the timeframe envisaged here, Chair, is 2024 to 2026. The key objectives, Chair, of this bill include alignment to various acts, action plans in line with the Constitution and policies such as the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the National Development Plan, the White Paper on Policing 2016, the White Paper on Safety and Security 2016, the Community Policing Policy, the Use of Force Policy, and the Policy on a Single Police Service. Slide 9, Chair. The bill also proposes to amend the Regulation of Gatherings Act in relation to the use of minimum force, which is reasonably necessary and proportional in the circumstances during demonstrations or gatherings. And in addition to this, Chair, the bill proposes amendments to the Civilian Secretariat for Police Service to provide for the establishment of neighborhood patrolling, neighborhood watch and farm watch associations, community policing forums, district, provincial community policing boards, and the National Community Policing Board. Slide 9, Chair. Sorry, slide 11. Still on the timeframes and the objects. So the current status of the bill is the drafting team has been engaging with the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, who guides us in terms of the constitutionality and alignment of the bill to the Constitution as well as to other existing acts so as not to be in conflict with those. As soon as the drafting team has considered and incorporated the suggested amendments by the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor, approval will be sought from the Minister to present the bill to various structures of the JCPS cluster to solicit support to process it for tabling in Parliament. Chair, this would be for the introduction of the bill in Parliament. If I may just pause briefly here, Chair. Once the bill is before the Portfolio Committee, this is after the introduction, it is published once again for public comment, giving all interested parties a second bite to it, to this process, and the comments are debated in Parliament for or against inclusion in the bill. So there's a second publication for public comments, which takes place in the Portfolio Committee. Slide 12, Chair. Now I'm coming to the Firearms Control Amendment Bill. The time frame anticipated is 2024 to 2026. And the key objects of this bill include the amendment of the Firearms Control Act 2000. And these amendments respond to the overarching policy principles of non-proliferation of firearms and the strengthening of processes relating to the applications for firearm and ammunition licenses and the management of firearms and ammunition. Chair, in terms of the status of this bill, it was published for public comments during May 2021. Chair, we received an overwhelming number of public comments rejecting the contents of this bill. And the number of those comments that we received, Chair, were in excess of 118,000. We go on to slide 13. Chair, the bill is currently at the final stages of significant refinement, and it will be processed to the Minister for consideration and approval. After that, it will be tabled at NEDLAC for further consultation. Chair, just to also add that, as with the SAPS bill, the Firearms Amendment Bill was also removed from the legislative program since it was not yet in the cabinet system. Chair, I'm now on slide 14. And I'm going to deal with the Second-Hand Goods Amendment Bill, and the time frame envisaged for the completion of this bill is, or the processing of this bill is 2024 to 2027, and the key of certain sections of the Second-Hand Goods Act 2009 to strengthen the legislative framework for the regulation of the business of dealers in second-hand goods and pawnbrokers. Ultimately, Chair, the goal is to combat trade in stolen goods and to promote ethical standards in second-hand goods trade. Chair, the current status of this bill is that during the first quarter of this financial year, that is 1st of April to July 30, 2024, the drafting team presented the bill to the Director Generals of the JCPS cluster. The Director General supported the bill for further processing to the Minister's cluster of the JCPS, and it is now scheduled to be presented to the Minister's cluster. Slide 15 deals with the Stock Theft Amendment Bill, and the time frame envisaged is 2024 to 2027. And some of the key objects of this bill is to amend the Stock Theft Act of 1959, which has become outdated. there has been a significant change in the technology for record keeping of registers for stock movement of stock, and the manner of trade of stock since 1959. The bill also provides for combating of crimes related to possession, ownership, and movement of stock by ensuring better control in terms of documentary proof. Slide 16. The status of the bill, Chair, is that the drafting team is considering the comments received from the Office of the Chief State Law Advisor. The bill will be revised accordingly, and thereafter approval will be sought from Minister to present the bill to the various structures of the JCPS cluster. Once again, to seek the support to publish in the Gazette for public comments. Slide 17, Chair, we deal with the Critical Infrastructure Protection Amendment Bill. Chair, the time frame envisaged for this processing of this bill is 2025 to 2028, and it is envisaged that this will be a short amendment, and the purpose for the amendments is to streamline the appointment and the implementation of the Critical Infrastructure Council as mandated by the Act. And this, Chair, this process proved to be time-consuming exercise faced by the committee due to the time delays in finalization of the vetting investigations by the SSA in order to issue top-secret security clearances. The Act would be amended to simplify the parliamentary interview and appointment processes, especially with regards to the issuing the issue of obtaining top security clearance prior to the parliamentary interviews. Chair, the status of this bill is that it is still at a conceptual stage. Slide 18, Chair, brings me to Civilian Secretariat for Police Service Amendment Bill, and the time frame anticipated is 2025 to 2028. The purpose for these amendments is to align the Civilian Secretariat Police Service Act with the recently assented to IPID Amendment Act 2024, as well as to the advanced draft South African Police Service Amendment Bill. The status is that the development of this bill will have to commence after the finalization of the SEPSA bill to ensure synergy. Slide 19, Chair, deals with the Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill, and the timeframe envisaged is 2025 to 2029. The Private Security Regulatory Authority Amendment Bill 2014 was assented to in September 2021, but hasn't been put into operation yet. The purpose for the amendment is to make provisions to address governance issues for the members of the Council, and these will include their terms of condition of office, vacation of office, and payment of remuneration and allowances. The status of the bill is that it is still also at a conceptual stage. Here then that brings us to the last bullet point, which would be the regulations. And regulations, Chair, will be needed to be developed because they are necessary to operationalize an act once it's assented to by the President. In other words, the regulations will be the how of an act, of how an act comes into operation. Chair, that brings me to the recommendation on slide 20 for the Portfolio Committee on Police to take note of the proposed legislative schedule of bills that the department intends to process during this administration. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. We submit.
Thank you. Thank you very much, DG. Thank you, Advocate. Are there any questions regarding the presentation? If so, I would like to keep the questions as brief as possible. If there is any further engagement needed in more detail, then we can arrange such a discussion. Honourable Ghana.
Thanks very much, Chair. welcome the report, but maybe there are a number of things that we might have to look at. Because one of it, if I listen and read through the report, it's the time that it takes to get legislation done and processed and passed. And I think that's a challenge to ourselves, Chair, that we need to start moving with speed and prioritize making the laws and getting that done. But what I would like either the ministry or the civilians section is to look at the other legislation that might not necessarily reside within the police, but that impact the work of the police. So if, for instance, when I listen to the DM talking about it's a frustration with the justice system, and we might have to ask whether there are laws, and I also listen to yourself, Chair, around the classification of certain categories of crimes, because the police act itself, or the acts within the police, does not deal with that particular matter. To us that if there are laws that are hampering the work of the police that do not reside within the police themselves, that as Parliament we need to look at. If we can start getting that, it will assist greatly. And obviously, this will not be the end, Chair, as you'll know that there might be space for members to initiate a private members' bill, especially on crimes that maybe at the time that we, like right now, we don't know the extent of the new form of crimes that might require us to amend the laws, because laws respond to a need, but it's the pace at which we amend the laws and empower the police that will keep South Africans safe. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Ghana. Noted. Honourable Muela. Honourable Muela, I think you are still muted. There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Let me also join other portfolio committee members in welcoming the tabling of the bill by the CSPS, and to note that we are noting that the bill will cover a period ranging from 2024 to 2029, which requires that the bills that are not advanced stage be processed with a reasonable time to avoid the possibility of rushing the bills towards the end of the 7th Parliament. So the bill, it is quite handy with regard to some of the amendments which are tabled with regard to improving the handling of particular aspects with regard to the operation thereof. So we want to then say that whether the timetable for the processing of these bills has taken into account the difference in the processing of the bills between the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces should be in a sense that it takes proper processes. As such, we then welcome this particular presentation with both hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honourable Muela. Happiness and noted. Are there any further comments? Not at the moment. Thank you so much. I would like us to continue to the next presentation, and this is specifically with regards to the 2024-25 annual performance plan and budget of PSIRA. And I want to just apologize again in advance, and I guess in retrospect, for us having to delay or having had to delay CSIRA up until this point. And just to the whole team from CSIRA, thank you for being so understanding with regard to the pressure that we had during the budget tabling. So with that, I'd like to hand over to CSIRA. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will allow the DM to introduce us first.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to introduce the head of CSIRA, Mr. Chauke, to give presentation to the committee. With your permission, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM.
Mr. Chauke, please go on.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. Good morning to the Chairperson, the Deputy Minister Ushelo, Deputy Minister Matali, DG Sibui, and colleagues on the platform. Before I perhaps proceed, Chairperson, I must say that we also have our council members on the platform, Ms. Pretima Kukule, General Kamani, as well as Ms. Nana Sabela. Today, as per the delegation, I'm with the CFO, Ms. Matlo Sebuhudi, Ms. Mposi Chwaro, Mr. Jacob Makolwane, as well as Mr. Isaac Raliwoma and other colleagues on the platform. Good morning to everyone. Chairperson, I will start with the I must also, before I start, render apologies for our chairperson of the council. She's currently indisposed. She had undertaken to be present today. Unfortunately, it seems as if she's got challenges, Chairperson. Thank you very much. Mr. Isaac Raloma will be sharing the presentation, and I will start as soon as the presentation is shared.
Thank you so much. Please do continue.
Mr. Raloma, can I request that perhaps you put it on a presentation mode? Thank you. Chairperson, let me start nonetheless. On my side, can I request that we move to the second slide, please? Looks like we have challenges, Chairperson.
Chairperson, through Chairperson, my apology. It's not moving from my side. No
problem.
Just a sec.
No problem. Let's give 2 minutes. If you need to leave the meeting and enter again, please do so, and then we can just continue. No stress.
Thank you. Can I check if it's visible?
Yes, Mr. Raloma. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay.
If we can go to the third slide, please. Thank you, Chair. As we begin to present, we will just take you through some of the legislations that influence the preparation of our APP as well as our strategic plan. As per the slide, we do take into account the Constitution as well as other legislations. In particular, Chairperson, I must say the National Development Plan as well as the SDG goals, and we also
No, we've lost you there.
Chair, I think we
Colleagues,
lost
yes.
Mr. Chauke. I am trying to locate him.
No problem. DM, please take your time. In the meantime, colleagues, earlier when I think we can resolve it now quickly. Just in terms of the minutes of the previous meetings, you must excuse because I actually tried to adopt all of them at once, but I'm actually, according to protocol, meant to do it one by one. So I would, in the meantime, while we wait for Mr. Choke to join us again, in terms of the adoption of minutes for the meeting of the 12th of July, I would just like to, if we can move on that and if I can get support to adopt those minutes, and then of course, there we go. Colleagues, I assume that everyone read through this specific set of minutes. Are we comfortable to adopt the minutes for the 12th of July 2024? Honorable Chickeling?
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone else happy? Move forward. Honorable Mokoena?
Thank you, Chair. I support the move.
Thank you, Honorable Mokoena. I appreciate it. We then move on those minutes. Adopted for the 12th of July. Then the minutes for the 21st of August 2024. Can we move forward on that? Again, repeat, I'm sure everyone read it. I would hope so. It's crucial to have your input if there are any amendments or possible errors. So can we move on the minutes for the 21st of August 2024? Colleagues, can we adopt the minutes for 21st of August? Honorable Schikkerling?
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Schikkerling. Can we any taken to that? Honorable Mokoena, you look like you want to say something. I see you unmuted.
I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Brown. Thank you. Thank you. So with that, we adopt the minutes for the 21st of August, 2024. Thank you, honourable members. I appreciate that we could quickly return to that point. Have we got Mr. Chalke back with us again? Can we continue with the presentation?
Good morning once again, Chairperson. My profuse apologies. It looks like all our computers start rebooting all of them at the same time. I don't know what happened there. We are back on. I'm going to allow the acting COO to share the presentation again. Apologies.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. Please do continue.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I was on this slide. We can move to the next slide. Thank you, Chair. On this slide, we're just giving a summary of the architecture that we have in terms of tackling the mandate that we have. We're saying as an organization, when we have sound financial governance and as well as organizational effectiveness, we'll be able to address our mandate. And exactly how we address that mandate is to regulate, control, and enforce the legislation that we are mandated to enforce, to promote and enable as well as professionalize the industry and advance transformation within the industry. We believe that when we've done that, we shall bring an impact that we require, which is to see a legitimate and competent and transformed private security industry in South Africa. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you, Chair. The PSIRA impact on the strategic outcomes for the medium-term strategic framework priorities, Chair, we are following priority number 6 on the NDP, which is social cohesion and community, and we are addressing an impact statement that we are addressing is to really to have a legitimate, competent, and transformed industry, as I said, that acts in the national interest, public interest, and the interest of the industry, so that there is safety within our country. And of course, the outcomes that we are looking at is to ensure that once again there's accountability, there's performance, there's financial stability, and we are able to provide for a trustworthy private security industry and a capable trained security industry, as well as an industry that is transformed. In terms of transformation, we'll give a little bit later the items that we are talking about. Next slide, please. From a key focus areas, Chairperson, in this year, we will be focusing on capacitating our law enforcement unit, which is to capacitate the special operations unit as well as our firearms unit, and then to introduce also a K9 unit, which we believe is quite very strategic in terms of addressing issues of safety and crime within the country, and continuously improve the standards of training within the industry. And there we're looking at introducing a revision of specialized courses within the industry, establishing offices in 2 provinces. We're looking at Northwest as well as Northern Cape. And we also in the process of revising our business processes to ensure that there is efficiency and there is effective service delivery in our environment. And we are also looking at implementing the guarantee fund, as well as activating the Private Security Industry Levies Act, which is another model of funding PSIRA. We will talk a little bit later about the challenges we have with the current model. And we're also looking at introducing a business intelligence unit. Really, a business intelligence unit is a unit that will be assisting us to manage data and interpret and analyze the data, so that we're able to be effective in our regulation of the industry, and also to ensure that we partner with our colleagues in the continent and strengthen really from a benchmarking point of view and standards, as well as other best practices, the work that we do. I will hand over, Chairperson, to Mr. Raloma to take us through the APP that we've planned for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to the members of the committee and also to the deputy ministers of police. I'll take you through the annual performance plan for 2024-2025 based on the strategic outcomes that the director have just shared with us, which is the financial sustainability, the professional, accountable, and trustworthy private security industry, and the third one, which is a capable and trained private security industry, and the fourth one, which is the private security industry is transformed. We have reviewed our strategy, to ensure that we develop the 2024-2025 annual performance plan. Just a sec, I'm pressing the, it's not moving. I don't know what's happening today.
Chairperson, through you, may I request that perhaps Mr. Raloma switch off his video?
Okay. Thank you very much. We, in terms of reporting, Chairperson, we have a plan in terms of 4 programs. We do have our first program, which is finance and administration. And in terms of finance and administration, under finance and administration, we do have 3 business units, which is finance, corporate service, and also the operations, research, and development. I'm not going to take through the members, the purpose of these 3 functions. In terms of the program that I've just indicated to, which is your finance and administration, the outcome that the first one that we are responding to is the financial sustainability, accountability, and relevance and performance. And the first output indicator in which I'll focus on that, so that I don't provide more detail in terms of this presentation. We have the first one, output indicator, is the percentage implementation of the audit action plan. And we have planned for ourselves in 2024-2025 year, in which I want us to focus on 100% implementation of the audit action plan. And the second one, Chairperson, is the revenue collection, in which we measure ourselves in terms of the revenue that has been collected based on what we have built. So there, the output indicator is the percentage of the built revenue collected, and we are targeting to have collected 80% revenue in the financial, the current financial year. And the second one is under the output under the finance and admin. We have the percentage implementation of digital business strategy implementation plan. So we are targeting at least 10% implementation on the digital business strategy this financial year. We also measure ourselves in terms of the vacancy rate. For us to be able to achieve what we have set for ourselves, we make sure that at least we don't have more than 7% of vacancy rate throughout the year. So that's the target that we have put for ourselves. We also under finance and admin 1.4.2 as a percentage of employee performance rating assessed at 3 and above as performance management system. For us to be able to achieve, the mandate of the authority, and also to achieve the strategic outcomes that we have set ourselves, we also monitor performance of the individuals. And based on that, we always make sure we have set ourselves that at least 95% of the assessed employees perform on the rating of 3 and above for that particular year. So we also look at the number of draft regulations that are approved by the council. I mean, for us to regulate the industry effectively, we must also develop regulations that will assist us, I mean, to ensure that we regulate the industry. We have targeted ourselves to have at least 1 draft regulations approved by the council this financial year. The last one under finance and admin, we have the one that deals with sector research. We do conduct research that are sector related. So on this one, we have targeted to have at least 5 research reports completed for this financial year. And we also conducted the surveys that underpins those research that we have set for ourselves. So we are saying that, I mean, we want to achieve at least 4 completed survey this financial year. Take into consideration that the world is moving to the 4th industrial revolution. We have seen that the artificial intelligence is also leading in terms of security. So we have set for ourselves that this financial year we will have completed the artificial intelligence monograph that will assist us, I mean, to regulate the space. The second program, Chair, is the law enforcement program, which is our core function, or is the core function of the authority. And we do have 2 business functions under this division or program. The first one is the compliance and enforcement, and we also have prosecution. In terms of this, Chair, we have set for ourselves the regular inspections that we had to conduct to the businesses and also to the security officers. The first one, which is 2.2.1, is the number of security business inspected. During this financial year, we are targeting to have done 5,975 inspection for the businesses. And for security officers, this year we have targeted to conduct 30,640 security officers. Continuing with law enforcement, we have also targeted the number of security business license for firearms to be inspected. We have targeted 1,800 chairperson this year. And we have also put an output indicator to look at the percentage of the percentage complaints finalized through and investigations against the security service providers. We are targeting at least 90% of complaints finalized through an investigation against security service providers. Continuing, we also have for program 2 the output indicator that deals with the percentage of cases of non-compliant security providers successfully prosecuted per year. So we targeted at least 95% of cases of non-compliant SSPs successfully prosecuted. Continuing, the third program is our training and communication, the industry training. Chairperson is also one of our core functions. And the areas there, or the business functions that we look at, is training, which is to provide development of sector-based training, accreditation services, and standards. And the second one is marketing and communication and the stakeholder. So those are the two business functions under the training and program. So here, Chairperson, one of the output indicators that we have set for ourselves is a number of new cooperation agreements entered with industry regulatory bodies in other countries. We have targeted at least to have one cooperation agreement to be entered to in this financial year. And the second one is number of external stakeholders awareness workshop conducted, because apart from enforcement, we would like to promote and to create awareness in terms of the role of the organization, which is also assist us, in terms of compliance. So we have 70 stakeholders awareness workshops that are targeted for this year. And the number of marketing campaigns held also, to underpin the marketing interventions. We have planned 30 marketing campaigns for this particular year. Chair, in terms of training, the first output indicator that we have is the number of accredited instructors monitored and audited by PSIRA. So we have set a target for ourselves for 400 instructors this particular year. So the second one is the number of qualifications accredited, and we have targeted 12 qualifications. And Chair, I need also to indicate that we are introducing the online assessment where the security officers or those who have been trained, they will also have to do the online assessment with PSIRA, just to make sure that we professionalize this area. So we have decided that we'll have this online assessment training, before we introduce or we implement the system that we are currently developing. So we have targeted those online training, to the security providers, training providers for this particular year, in which the target that we have is 25 trainings that will take place this year. Continuing, the last program that we have is the registration, and this is one of the core as well, Chair, where, according to our Care Act, whoever is participating in this industry in terms of security has to register with PSIRA. So this is the division that is responsible, the program that is responsible for the registration of the businesses and the security officer. So we have put some targets for us based on the output indicators that we have set to respond to this outcome. The first one is the average turnaround time for implementing registration committee resolutions for individuals' application with an illicit activity. So we have set for ourselves 5 days. We have done this, Chair, to try and improve the turnaround time of finalizing the applications that are done either by the security officers or the security businesses. So in terms of the implementation of the resolutions taken by the committee that oversees this, we are saying that, the implementation of those resolutions must be done within 5 days. That definitely will improve the turnaround time in terms of those, the finalization of the applications. We have the other indicator 2.72, which is the number of active registered security business on the database reviewed. Chair, we do have a database that is comprised of, in terms of the officers, we have a database that it's having more than 2.7 million registered security officers. So we found it very important, to ensure that the database becomes so reliable, to review this database on a daily, on an annual basis. So we have set ourselves that this current financial year, because when we review, there are criteria that has to be followed. So that's the reason why we have set for ourselves that at least for this current financial year, we must have reviewed 2,000 security companies on our data on our database. So the same applies to the security officer database that we have also put our target for this year. To ensure that at least we have done 30,450 for this financial year. We are also looking at this target, Chairperson, considering that it's very much important that the database it's a credible database and it's also reliable. We are also looking at increasing the numbers and coming up with other ways, to make sure that the process of reviewing, is done effectively and is done. We complete the review in a very reasonable time. So we are looking at this, how best we can do this. Just to make sure that our database is reliable. I think that's the end from my side. Then I'll take it back to the director, who will then introduce the CFO to continue with the next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please do continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. The CFO, Ms. Matlo Sebuhodi, she will take over and do the finance part. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson and Deputy Ministers, and good morning all. Can you move to, these are the key risk areas that we have included in terms of our strategic and APP targets. We noted that based on our financial model, the financial instability still, it's a key. And we have put systems in place to ensure we still stay afloat and manage to fund our operational expenses. What we have put in place, we have implemented our collection strategies where we have, if members remember when the presentation started, there was 80% collection. So after billing, we have to collect fees from our security provider so that we can fund the organization. So we have put that measures in place, and we are confident that the 80% projected will be collected to fund the operational requirement. And also because of our model, it's not adequate, we are in a process of implementing a levies collection strategy so that we can support Levies Collection Act, so that we can move from the annual fee model that causes lots of debts not recovered. And then we are confident that once we have the Levies Act implemented, we'll be able to service the private security industry adequately, and also the public, the consumer that is utilizing our services adequately, and we will be able to deliver on our mandate. And then we're also exploring other sources of revenue, and then we're also making sure that we have we manage adequately our expenditure. And then also in terms of the non-compliance to PSIRA regulation in law enforcement and also in research, we are also looking at measures to ensure that we are able to ensure that the compliance to regulations and the PSIRA Act it's managed adequately. So we have revised law enforcement strategy. We also have the digitalization of registration offices, and also we have intensified our consumer awareness and educational initiative. You can move to the next slide, Dr. Leon. And then on this one, we also have, as part of our outcome, we want to have a capable and trained private security. So we have realized that we have to ensure that our training is adequate, and then the people that administer, that goes through the training programs are fully equipped, and we have put measures like we want to implement, as Datera Lioma indicated, that we want an online registration system, we want an online assessment where we will be giving assurance to the users that everybody that is trained went through our system. And then the last one that we have, we want to ensure that also our sector, it's transformed. So we are in a process of transformation, assisting the industry to develop a transformation charter, and we are in consultation, and we are confident in this year we'll have a charter. And then going forward, the industry will have an action plan to ensure that the measures that are in the implementation plan are implemented throughout the sector, so that the sector is adequately transformed. And you can move to the next slide, and the next slide, yes, you can move to that one. On this one, we projecting, we presenting the budget projection over the years, but I'll focus on 24-25, where 23-24, where this APP is, where we have increased the budget by 20%. And the reason for the 20%, we use we look at the operational requirement, all the things that were presented by our acting COO, where we look at the project, and we also look at the muscle, what the industry will be, their appetite to pay, and also look at the economic climate. For an example, if you look at the administration, we have on 23-24, the increase is 25%. And maybe the question will be, why so much? But the administration has a lot of programs in it. The systems of PSIRA are under administration. The rental of offices is under administration of PSIRA. And also the transformation, the consultation fees are all in that, even on the audit fees and the council and consultation fees are all in that. So I just wanted to clarify that one, that we are not compromising on law, on core businesses there. And under law enforcement, we are increasing, we have increased by 17%. This is mainly because of the, remember when the CEO was highlighting key focus area, we want to capacitate law enforcement, and it's something that we are very conscious on, that we want to make sure that our law enforcement has adequate capacity. We want to have a firearm special operating unit. So those factors that were indicated in the previous slides, and also when Dr. Lioma was presenting program 2, we are also aiming to fund it. And under training and communication, even on the risk item that I just spoke to now, we can see that we want to make sure that the online assessment it's there, and also the course report, it's also assisting us to get it done. And then the registration, also the registration department, it's fairly a new one, hence it's 6%, but we are also aiming to capacitate it. So we have in recent years just unpacked it, but it's something because they are the frontliners, but because we've got an online system, hence it's not growing at the pace, but it will definitely grow at a certain period. And the average for the year, it's 11%. For the 3 years, we anticipate over the MTEF, it's 11%. But if we move to the Levies Act, hence we will have a bigger growth, because we will be able to fund the operation. And one key thing about PSIRA, that the budget and expenditure should be exactly the same, because we are not allowed to budget for surplus and deficit when we do our APP. You can move to the next slide, Dr. Lioma. The next slide indicates, I'm just going to spend a little bit more time, not like normal members, just just to give you a background of how PSIRA is funded, I'll just spend just a few minutes. We are funded through an annual fee model. The annual fee model is a model that we charge the industry on annual basis. It's like license fees, but we categorize them as per the industry. And then we also have security officers fees. These fees are reviewed annually, and then before review, we publish them for consultation, and the industry, we interact, we open this for ±2 months, and the minister approves it, and then we go back again to the industry, and then we publish the final one. So this is one of the key things that we are utilizing to fund ourselves, and it's the one that we're talking about when we say 80%. So we bill 100%, but the turnaround where the industry is paying us, sometimes it doesn't come back adequately. Hence, we have so much bad debts where companies are not able to pay us back. And then the next biggest one is training revenue, because we have to make sure, remember when we were talking about a trained and capable security, the industry that is trained adequately. This is very key, where we train, and then after training, there is a fee. In terms of our legislation, we also have annual fees, but we also have admin fees. On yearly basis also, we have admin fees that have training revenue inside, and then we review them and we charge for those training. And then also, because we have to fund ourselves, this is one of the key things. After the training, we receive cost report, and the team from training, they will review the cost report and accredit accordingly. So those are the main things. Registration fee, it's when the security officers register after training. So that's one of the key things that we generate our revenue from. And then sale of goods after registration, we offer certificate and ID cards. So those are part of our revenue stream. In other revenue stream, we have our admin fees. It's a lot of them when before the security officers, security business get accredited, we go to them, we visit them. But when we visit, there's a fee that we pay. When you change information from your initial approval, we have to charge you a fee for us to be able to recover our operational fee that we have charged. So those are the little fees that are in the sundry income. But the biggest one in the other revenue, it's SASITA, where they help us to fund our internship program, and so that we can augment our capacity, because at some stage we are unable to recruit based on our funding model. And then you can move to the next slide, where we will highlight the biggest ticket item. So as as a service-driven organization, we don't have a lot of CAPEX and other things. Our money is spent on employee cost, where we fund, there's a lot of employee cost, hence it's at 47%, and the next one is consultancy fees. It's mostly a transformation charter. It's not a lot of consultation, but because the researches that we do before we regulate the industry, that's where we spend a lot of money, and we've got offices around the country. Hence, we have that is 6% of it, and the bad debts is the one that I was talking to earlier about the 80%, the 20%. We normally don't recover that, and every year we have to have that bad. But it's a common occurrence in terms of where you bill, and the not everybody comes back on it. But we are also having debt collectors that still sweat the ones that are being written off, but we still try to recover on site. And then we also have legal fees that we, at some stage, we need them to assist us in cases that are very challenges. You can move to the next one, where we talk about the expenditure thing. So on this one, I will just pass quickly, Chairperson. We as indicated that we are not allowed to, our budget and expenditure should be 100% aligned. So you can still see that we are also having the 20% increase at 544 million in this financial year. And then quickly, I would move to slide number 31, where I will unpack this slide. So when you look at employee, we can move Ntatera Lioma to slide number 31, the next slide, where we speak to the previous slide in detail. So we have our employee costs at 13%. This is mainly because of we want to increase our capacity as indicated over when the COO and the director was presenting, mainly for the firearm and then special operating units and also the cost of living adjustment. And also in terms of the fingerprint cost, before anybody comes to PSIRA, we do their fingerprints so that we can check whether there is criminality and other issues that we should look into. So when you see our registration cost going up, it is an inherent cost because it's a expense before your registration is done. And then also the ribbons and cartridges is the one that we also charge for the ID cards. So the two items that are following each other, it's more on after registration, then you need to issue the certificate. And we tried to ensure that to issue a digital certificate, but I think because of the level of our industry, how they are, so we learned that they still prefer a hard copy. So hence it's going up. So we will start printing for the security providers. You can move to the next one, and at the Ralioma, where we go to the consultancy fees. The consultancy fees increased by 38%. This is mainly due to the transformation charter and also the research unit, also the employee engagement surveys, and is to ensure that our employees, there was a survey that was done, and there was deficiencies noted in terms of what we should do to ensure that the values that we want at PSIRA. So as part of management, we have put an action plan to ensure that the measures that to improve the values are implemented. So it's not that it increasing, it's not something that we do every year. So the year that we're doing, hence you see as if it's growing up, but next year definitely the consultancy fees will go down. So also the publication, because we want to now, because we have transformation charter where we have to publish all these things. So hence it's a big one. And then we also have where you remember when I was speaking about the risk, we're talking about exposure, consultation, where we empower our industry. So we want to drive everything that it's the PSIRA is doing, our communication. We will have to ensure that the industry and the public is aware of it. So we intensifying our communication strategies there. So also the training, it's mainly the one that in terms of Skills Development Act, and then the rental I've already spoken to, but just for the committee that we have revised. And then we have new leases in Johannesburg, and then we are also planning to finalize the one in KZN, and then the one in Pretoria. So security cost, we had several break-ins, and because we thought if we have security cameras and then where the security surveillance can look at all the offices, we'll be able to manage the security cost. However, it has proven at some stage we still need a night guard, hence the increase, because we did not, in the previous year, we also used CCTV cameras where we have a reaction company that will come. But when they come, you'll find it's already late. The people have invaded our offices. And then on the last two, we also have the license fees. This is procurement of additional software. If you look at the, I think it's coming in the next slide where we talk about the highest cost in terms of the things that we are planning to do. We want to intensify our software and want to ensure that data integrity in terms of our reporting and cleansing. We need to beef up our software licenses and ensure that our intangible assets are adequate to support the operations. And also advertising, I think it's similar to the one that I spoke to in terms of communication and marketing, part of the strategy. And then the cost has increased because we've got offices, new offices that are bigger than, and then we also have additional employees. And then repairs and maintenance is mainly regarding the offices in Arcadia office where we have housed other members of our unit, and that is a heritage, but we are also looking into it to ensure that it's adequately maintained, to ensure that it still maintain its value. So, and then workshop and seminars are increasing by 170%. This is due to anticipated stakeholder. The workshop, seminars, advertising are similar, but they differ in terms of categories. Hence, you can see they're repeating themselves because when you do budgeting, you want to see line items there. So the insurance also, it's an inherent factor. When you start increasing your capacity, you also allow employees to have adequate tool of trade. So those assets are also covered. And then also sundry expenses. I spoke to them earlier where we talk about the filing system. This is very rare. It's once off. It looks like it's 98% because we don't normally have such. So this will be a once off. Hence, it looks like a big tick and increase because we don't normally have expenses in that. So after the filing system, then we will go back to minimal increment. So this, because we've got the next slide, slide number 35, which is the last one for the budget information. It speaks to processes that we do, Chairperson, where we courier our, sometimes you will find that there is document that must be couriered among our offices to ensure that they reach at a certain stage. So those are courier services, but we also try to look into it so that it's not as big as that. And then also the amenity, these are just goods and services that we procure internally to ensure that our offices is running adequately, and also subsistence and traveling and accommodation. This is mainly one of the key things, but we also look into it in terms of cost containment measures to ensure that we contain it. However, sometimes we are caught in between the rock and the hard place where you have to deploy capacity in various places because we are a small and lean organization. But for us to be able to conduct operation and law enforcement inspection, or even registration, sometimes where we don't have offices, we have to deploy people in various offices, various places, and then we have to, they must travel to that place, stay in that place for a specific period. Is an inherent cost to our law enforcement and also our registration income, this one. But we also look into it to ensure it stays adequate in terms of the budget projection. And the slide number, the next slide where we speak about the CAPEX, these are capital items that we want to procure. We want to, we used to not have a fleet. This is, I think we have 2 cars, Chairperson, and then we want, but we have also moved on that. Now we are planning to buy additional 2 cars to capacitate our tactical team and law enforcement, so that when they partner with other stakeholders, they also have capacity so that we don't compromise what they are doing. And then also computer software, Chairperson, we have a phase-in approach on this one where we want to support our business continuity plan. We've learned from COVID that people can still be active in outside the PSIRA offices. They can still be productive. So we want to ensure that everybody has adequate computer hardware to support the operational requirements. And then also the office equipment, this is mainly because we also have offices that we need to capacitate. And then we will also want to ensure that there are online assessment at some stage they are done in our offices. So these are some of the things that we want to do, have classrooms where we can just train or not train, assess the learners after they've been trained as part of quality assuring and ensuring that the security officers trained, they are credible. And then the least office improvement, these are inherent when you rent a new office. We have to make sure that it's suitable to your design and also your business process in terms of what you want. For an example, we want to see like how our business process should be administered. So we have to partition the office to ensure that our business process is supported adequately. Chairperson, the last one we're just highlighting, and I think this one is the one that it was spoken to, and I think I've touched base on it every time when I was speaking. This is just what I was speaking to in the previous slide, that we want to ensure that we've got an IT system, and hence, especially in terms of revenue reporting system, so that we improve our data integrity, and also we clean the data in terms of what is in our systems. So this is the biggest project that we are embarking on in this current financial year. And the next one of computer, I've spoken to it, and also the vehicles. And I think the other one that I did not speak to is just a levy collection system, where we need to capacitate ourselves and ensure that we are ready to implement the levies, because National Treasury, in terms of the billing, the levies collection bill, they want us to demonstrate before the levy is promulgated, for us to demonstrate state of readiness that we can do this process, but we are busy with that. And then also one of the key thing there, we also want to ensure that when our law enforcement are also, because remember we are talking about special operating units, so we also want to buy a drone for them. And also the last one, it's a electronic document management system that I spoke about, where we have it also affecting our salary and also our capex budget. And on that note, Chairperson, I would like to thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. That would be it from PSIRA at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the detailed presentation. I want to hand over to the members for a few minutes to hear if there are any questions or comments. Honorable Schikkerling, we can start with you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you very much for the very detailed report. I think it was very eye-opening, actually, and it was very informative. So I really do appreciate it. I welcome the fact that PSIRA wants to enhance the IT system and make sure that we get into a bit of a new age with our technology. I do, however, have two questions. My first one is the timeline of when the offices in the Northern Cape and the Northwest will they envisage to open those two offices. I would like to know that. And then I have to raise a concern, because as we've seen with the extortion that is going on in our country, there's a lot of security companies that are actually involved lately with the extortion of businesses and companies to ensure that they use their services. And it's almost as though there's a growing security mafia in our country. And I am very concerned about that. And I would like to know if PSIRA is looking into that, and if those companies then, if they are found guilty or if there are any questions in them, that they are deregistered as security companies within our country, so that we can make sure that we don't have such issues. And then I'd just like to know about the regular inspections. If you are informed of such issues, do you immediately send out inspectors, or what is your time frame of checking up if you have any complaints of that kind? Thank you.
Sorry, I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, Honorable Schikkerling and the rest, I'm gonna allow 5 questions. I'll go through everyone now. Please keep your questions brief, like Honorable Schikkerling did now, and then after 5 of them, we will allow for some answers to be given. Honorable Ghana, over to you.
Thanks very much, Chair, and thanks for the presentation. Mine is just 2 short ones. One relating to the security officers that are practicing without being registered with PSIRA, or companies that employ security officers that are not registered with PSIRA. What are from the enforcement side of things, what are the plans around that? I ask this, Chair, because you, as you know, that many of these so-called even the protection of whether it's nightclubs or it's the people linked slightly to what the Honorable Schikkerling was raising around those that are demanding protection fees because they are masquerading as security officers that can protect the individuals. It's how do we then deal with the people who claim to be providing security services, but they are not adequately trained or registered, the impact in terms of the finances. The second and last one, Chair, it's on the finances, and I just need to be so that I don't assume things. Did I hear correct that PSIRA cannot or should not have a surplus, and that whatever it's projected to raise, it's then must be utilized within that financial year, and whether if I heard correctly, whether the high projected income for this financial year is what led to the in many instances way above inflation increases on many of the budget line items, and what will then lead if you look at the following financial year, it starts flattening out in a way. Is it because which area of the revenue will get impacted in the following financial years that will make the projected income to be almost similar to this year's ones, looking at that whether many security companies are started and there are many security officers or people who want to be security officers. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ghana. Honorable Kosana.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to be as brief as I can because I've got a problem of network. But be that as it may, my question will be very simple. I'll have 3 or 4 questions. First one, over a period of years, government departments are not, in fact, let me start by saying, PSIRA is not enforcing the laws of this country in these government departments. Government departments are not paying security companies in accordance with the law. In other ways, I'll give you a simple example. I'll demonstrate to you. Grading ABC, let's say in area 1 or area 2, is paid. A security guard is supposed to be paid an X amount per hour, and the department is not fulfilling that obligation to that security company. As such, it results of exploitation of security guards. Number two, why in this country have we allowed even illegal foreigners to be security guards being employed by security companies? As my colleague there, Ghana, says, like in the nightclub, you go to any nightclub in Senteng, in the so-called upmarket, or anywhere in Cape Town, you'll find that in the door there is only foreign nationals. Some of them, even if you go in there, they will ask you, can you please help me? I need to have papers. You know, I wanted to have papers, you know, permanent residence, visa, working, you'll get those people asking you to get papers, legal papers in this country, but they are already employed by these security companies. Thirdly, my last and the last one, because I know that there's a lot of us here, I just wonder, because it looks like, as I said in the meeting, that we should not be a talk show, that next year or in the next administration, the same issues are being addressed. I can tell you I've been following, as I said, I'm one of the founder members of this Civilian Secretariat. Indeed, there's a lot to be done. And as well, you need synergy between government department and this institution, like training institution or any organ of state. You need that synergy, not that antagonism which prevails out there. That indeed, security companies are more armed than our subs in this country. They are well armed. During that upheavals, in particular in KZN and Gauteng, some business people employed them, some even taxi associations, heavily armed, intimidating innocent citizens. I'm saying, in terms of this firearm registration, as one of the presenters said here, that indeed private security companies are getting away with murder. They are more armed. And I can rest assured you, if there can be what I've seen in KKZN, SARS helping PSIRA as well, and perhaps even soldiers for that matter, to round up these security companies. What I've seen in Phoenix, what I'm seeing in other areas as well, where the so-called security companies are heavily up. You'll think it's an army. What is PSIRA doing in terms of that? But together with SAFs, because PSIRA as well, they have to enforce the law. But remember, PSIRA cannot arrest. But indeed, PSIRA has to intervene in terms of what is happening in the security industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Sosana. Honorable Muela.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just get straight to the point. My question will be with regard to the capability and the trained private security industry, most particularly on the occurrence of the incidents which we saw with the recent arrest of the Libyans nationals in White River, Mpumalanga. My question will be, how will PSIRA strengthen its oversight on the compliance with legislation and regulations with regard to the training of security personnel? How is their oversight going to improve to be effective? Because we have seen so many dodgy camps occurring across the country and so forth and so forth. So if I can be clarified with regard to their strategy in that particular regard. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Muela. I'm going to allow two more questions from Honorable Kluter and then Honorable Lehlape, from where we will then get the relevant feedback. Honorable Kluter, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson, honorable members. all present. Allow me also to go straight to the question, Honorable Chairperson. Under program 1.
Sorry, Honorable Kluter, it sounds like, I know you were struggling with your voice, but it sounds like something's covering the microphone.
Am I audible now, Comrade Chair?
There we go. Thank you, Honorable Kluter. That's much better.
Okay. Now allow me to go straight to the question, Honorable Chairperson. Mine is just to under program 1. Again on percentage implementation of digital business strategy implementation plans. The targets from 2024 to 2025 to 2026 and 2027 are at 10%, 20% and 40%. What informs these declining and rising trends in these targets? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kluter. Noted. Honorable Lehlape, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Mine will be on the priorities of PSIRA. I see that Mr. Chauke said that their priority is priority 6, which is social cohesion and community. I just want to check because I'm going to make reference to the recent incidents that has been happening, particularly in Alexander, where in a protest, in a community protest, private securities will be called as backup to SAPS. And in the same incidents, you find security companies unleashing live ammunition on protesters in the presence of SAPS. In this instance, I know it was under the presence of the Metro Police, the Johannesburg Metro Police. Now, I just want to check with PSIRA that in their mandate, aligned to their priorities, how do they aim to achieve the social cohesion and community without violating and without being seen as people who want to use their powers and overuse their mandate as private security? Because, Chair, I'm aware that the mandate of PSIRA cannot be outright the mandate of SAPS. So there are obligations of PSIRA and there are responsibilities also of the South African Police Service. But in some instances, you would find that private security companies now compensate on the mandate that they are given, where they are now seen as an entity or an institution that wants to take over SAPS and that wants to play a role of the South African Police Services. I want to check with PSIRA on how do they make sure that these private security companies do not break the law, because whatever that they are mandated to do have got limitations as well. But with the usage of live ammunition, firearms, and all of that, there are also limitations. And they're also obliged to make sure that these securities abide by the law. Now, in this instance, I know there's a case that has been opened. There's also a case of IPIT and all of that. But what does PSIRA itself aims to achieve at social cohesion and community by ensuring that these private securities do not go overboard and overuse and misuse the mandate that they are given as private securities in these communities, and not just communities as well, but in protest as a whole? I know there's students that have been killed previously in protests as well. And to this day, securities have not been held responsible because they will always say there was a mandate that was given. We need to know, how does the process of giving mandate and how does a process of holding these private securities accountable work? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lehlape. I actually want to then hand over back to the team from PSIRA. You can decide in whom or in what order you would like to answer. and then we can take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will give the question with regard to the offices to the CFO, as well as the all finance-related questions. The question with regard to the regularity of inspections, I will give to Ms. Zwani. She's the head of law enforcement. I will deal with the questions from Honorable Skosana, as well as the questions that relates to extortion, and we will unpack other questions as we go. Thank you. CFO.
Thank you. In relation to the offices, Chairperson, we aiming to finalize and the procurement process by the end of the financial year, but the move will be in the 25-26 financial year. And in relation to, I'm thinking in terms of the timeline, that's what was required, and then question in relating to finance that relate to budget for surplus. The budget for surplus, so when we budget, so you should demonstrate in terms of your revenue stream, whether you are going to be able to fund the operation. So what we mean there, that there is no way that you can say in terms of your revenue stream, I'm gonna collect 544 million. And then in terms of your expenses, then you want to project a spending of 600 million. So that's what we are saying, that it should break even. There is no deficit. But I think maybe just to go further, where I'm thinking the member was asking, are you not allowed to generate surplus when you now collect? We are allowed to accumulate. So when you are collecting, if you collect more than, in terms of your financial statement presentation, you are allowed to generate surplus, but budgeting for surplus, it's not allowed, or deficit. Then when after you have surplus, you apply same as other institutions in terms of Treasury Regulation and PFMA to National Treasury to retain your surplus. But the budget is different, but when you now operate, you are allowed to generate. Thank you. I think those were the two items in that. And also maybe just to go further on that, because I think member asked, why is it going down in terms of the other years coming? So when you look at, in our sundry income, we also looking at fines that if we are a compliance section, the fines should also go down. And also the other categories of fine are handled by labor in terms of the bargaining unit. So we are now focusing on code of conduct transgression. And yeah, that is the main thing that is happening in terms of the slope down in terms. But when we also prepare the other budget for the next financial year, we'll also look at whether the projections of downward sloping is still relevant, so we may revise it upward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe just to add before I allow the DD law enforcement to take over, there was also perhaps a clarity question with regard to the 20%. I think the Honorable Ghana thought that perhaps we were increasing by 20% per year. I think the 20% on the presentation is for the medium-term framework, but the annual increase is approximately 6%. Thank you. DD Law Enforcement.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chairperson, and committee members. I'll be answering questions related to law enforcement. I think Honorable Chickling asked about the security companies that are involved in the construction mafia. We have never heard of such complaints, but then we have recently had a meeting with Master Builders South Africa, where the same issues were highlighted, and then we have an arrangement with them to say that if there are security companies that are involved in such activities where they are like disturbing the construction sites, then we have to be informed about those. And in terms of the regular inspections, as in like how often do we do the inspections? Inspections are done immediately as and when we receive the complaints. We deal with the priority. Our priority is mainly on the complaints that we receive from the industry. Then we send the inspectors out there to conduct the investigations. And if there are any instances of non-compliance, we act against those that undermine the law. And Honorable Ghana asked about security companies employing security officers that are not registered with PSIRA. And with this one here, we do conduct inspections on businesses and on security officers that are posted on sites like every week. And then every week we do have operations that we conduct like day and nights. In the nightclubs, we've recently had inspections on the nightclubs where we have arrested a lot of foreign nationals as well. And we see this as means of like some exploitation where security companies do not want to pay for the other benefits that security officers are entitled to have. But then we are dealing with those. And there was a question around from Honorable Skosana on the issue of foreigners as well. We do not allow foreigners to participate in the private security industry unless they have a permanent resident status. And we do arrest a lot of them. There's a whole lot of foreigners that we come across when we're doing our operations together with SAPS. But then the thing that we are not sure of what happens when these people are arrested. Are they deported, or what is it that happens when they are handed over to SAPS? And there was another issue regarding the security guards heavily armed. We currently have firearm amendment regulations that we have sent to the minister, where we want to regulate we have identified shortcomings with regards to the issuing, the use, and the position of firearms in the security industry, and we want to control that space. So with this amendment regulations, we want the companies, we want to prohibit the position of firearms in public spaces, and we want to compel existing and new entrants in the industry to inform us of the purpose that they're using the firearms for, because we have seen in most instances where there's firearms being wielded willy-nilly in public spaces, be it's in the taxi ranks or in the cemetery. So we want to limit the use of semi-automatic firearms in the private security industry, and it must only be for the people that are working in the patient transit environment, or the national key points, or the anti-poaching sector. And I think that was all, Chairperson, unless if I'm missing something. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to add on to the answer with regard to extortions. I think the question was more specifically on construction mafia, but extortion is across quite various fields. Just to add that we did receive a few complaints with regard to extortion by security companies, and we're looking into that specifically in the Eastern Cape recently, as well as in Mpumalanga. There was allegations that there is a security company that's collecting, collecting money from people and intimidating people. And perhaps the reason why we don't receive many of these complaints, Chairperson, is because of the nature of the crime itself. People are being extorted, intimidated, and most of them fear to even report these sort of crimes. And I think the very question that was asked, Chairperson, brings into question the issue of capacity. Whether do we have enough capacity to deal with this type of offenses, type of practices, and so on? And I would wish to deal a little bit more about it, also trying to answer the question with regards to the issue of Libyans from Honorable Moela. Honorable Moela. Chairperson, with regard to the issue of extortions, indeed, the question of what we do, I think that was answered, but we will actually be putting together more capacity from the available capacity that we have to investigate this type of offenses, specifically targeting these gangs, working with SAPS as well as crime intelligence and other bodies. We believe that we can take down most of these companies. However, as a growing trend, one looks at the options of perhaps reviewing the law in the future to give a little bit more investigative power to PSIRA to deal with this type of offenses, specifically with regard to these dangerous kind of offenses like extortion gangs and so on. When the other question that was asked by Honorable Kosana was the question regarding the enforcement of laws and government departments not paying what is prescribed and therefore leading to exploitation. Chairperson, this is quite a very worrying matter. Year in, year out, we publish what we call a pricing guideline, which is exactly a document that is meant to show the industry what is it that is statutorily allowed as benefits for security officers and obligatory kind of prescriptions. Not prescriptions. The subscriptions that they have to be paying, such as your UIF, as well as your COIDA, and so on and so on. Provident fund, leaves, and all of these things. So we do give them a guidance. We once approached National Treasury to try to deal with this issue regarding pricing in the industry. And National Treasury was not very helpful and was not amenable to issue a directive to the industry and to departments to say that as government, you cannot be the ones that are actually contravening the law when it comes to the issue of payment of security officers. So it boils down to the issue of when procurement is done for security services, the lowest price is taken. Often the lowest price is not the one that allows the company to comply with the law and to pay people properly. So we are stuck in that kind of a challenge with regard to, but the law still prescribes that everyone who plays in this industry, including the user and the client, are supposed to comply with the law. So we keep on enforcing, and we try to enforce all the time. Hopefully this type of debates will assist to strengthen that position. The issue of capacity, Chairperson, I think speaks to how many inspectors do we have. We do not have enough inspectors to deal with the mandate that we have. And I'll give you an example. If you look at the number of companies we have active, not even the total that is registered, just active. We have a total of over 30,000 companies registered on our database. Out of the 30,000, 16,000 of them are the ones that are saying we are currently rendering active security services. Of those, we have just under 80 inspectors that looks at all these companies, coupled with 600,000 odd security officers that needs to be inspected. So if you look at the numbers that we are inspecting, really, we are trying to do our best with these numbers. But if I were to calculate a proper ratio that we require of an inspector to a company, it will be a ratio of one inspector as to 110 companies. If we have that, it will allow us to inspect at least every company out of the 16,000 companies 4 times a year. We will visit that company every year. But the current ratio does not allow us to do that. If you look at the numbers, the current ratio is sitting at 1:200. And I'm only calculating companies, not the security officers, which is 600,000 of them. By the way, when we do inspections, we do conduct inspections on companies as well as individuals. So individuals, we go to sites, we visit them, we check whether they are compliant, whether they are legally registered and legally trained, and so on and so on. So those are quite. So just to deal with the companies, we on a ratio that is ideally required, we will need plus minus 66 more inspectors. That will cost us an additional 40 million rand on our budget per annum. So that is something to look at. Hence, we are saying that the funding model that we have is quite very restrictive, and perhaps we really need to move to review the funding model, bring in the Levies Act, as well as the portion which allows for PSIRA to be partly funded by appropriation from by appropriation on money bills and so on. So, but what are we doing currently to provide added oversight over training institutions? We are reviewing currently our training platforms to try to centralize a lot of training so that we can see the activities that are taking place. As earlier also explained, we are also reviewing quite a lot of training standards that are in the industry. Chairperson, we will also be consulting widely with our stakeholders, SAPS in particular, SASITA, PFTC, as well as other stakeholders that are involved in training. There is quite a gap in terms of the interpretation of law as to who is responsible for which part of the training and so on. From where we are sitting, training needs to be controlled, in particular in the private security industry, entirely by PSIRA. So some of the training that you see happening, for instance, if you look at firearm training, it is not within our mandate. It is sitting elsewhere and being controlled elsewhere, but we are looking into clarifying those interpretations so that we are able to have a much more cohesive and a comprehensive control over the issues that are taking place in this industry. There was also a question by Honorable Klute on the why are the percentages going down with regard to the implementation of the digitization? It is merely because, Honorable Chairperson, when you implement something, you implement, you review, and you monitor. And with regard to a digitization strategy, you cannot continuously implement. At the end of reviewing and monitoring, you will have to either start improving what is already there. So the percentage will go down. I think the percentages as their structures are talking to the extent of the percentage that we will be implementing at the time of implementing that. The question about social cohesion, Chairperson, firstly, let me say that security companies do not have the mandate to do crowd management, especially crowd management. It is the sole domain of the police, but their mandate ends insofar as protecting the property of their clients. And when there are issues of riots, the police have to step in and the security companies have to come after. But we all know that the reality is that SAPS is very much stretched, and often the security companies are the first on the scene, and they're the ones that have to take part in dealing with the protest before those arrive. Certainly, they are not allowed to use ammunition, live ammunition. As far as we are concerned, if there is such complaints, we would like to really investigate such complaints with regard to the use of ammunition. Just to add on the issue of the regulation of firearms, Chairperson, we will be tabling, as the DD has said, draft regulations. I must say that these draft regulations, Chairperson, were tabled before In 2019, they were tabled before the committee at the time. I'm not quite sure which administration it was. It could have been the 5th administration or the 4th administration. But they were tabled extensively for debate, and we allowed for public participation. And the current ones are the most controversial, Chairperson. And it was not also the first time in 2019. They were tabled for the first time, published for the first time in 2002, when the PSIRA, just after the PSIRA Act was published, just to deal with the issue of controlling firearms within the private security. We are bringing the very same regulations. We've enhanced them, given all the representations that were made between 2019. So we believe that they will go to a certain extent in controlling the use of firearms. Just to give you a snippet of it, the regulations will be bringing in control over the use of high caliber weapons. Will be restricting those used in different areas, in public areas, and so on, and also bringing in a lot more reporting, bringing in the tracking of firearms, so that we know the incidents and where they are used, and we can investigate, and so on and so on. So we will be happy to present such draft regulations before this committee as well, so that we allow for much more public participation. I'm not sure. I think, Chairperson, I might have covered all the questions by now.
Yeah, I think that was very detailed, Honorable Choke. I appreciate the feedback. I think what's crucial, just in summarizing, especially with regards to the use of, not only the use of force, which I think is something that the committee will still spend significant time on, I hope so, because I think there's more clarity needed in terms of legislation when it comes to the use of force, and also, to give clarity not only to the private sector, but also to the police regarding the use of force. I also think it's important that the approach to such, whether it's a regulation or a legislation type of amendment or change, should be done in good faith with the relevant entities. It shouldn't be done with any kind of animosity between, whether it's the private sector, government, or even community organizations. It's crucial at the moment that in a South African context, we need all hands on deck, and we need all stakeholders to fulfill their unique roles. I think at the moment we don't have the luxury to remove or take away the capacity of, for example, the private security industry. And if it means that we need improved regulation, it must be done in a way that also strengthens the industry, and it mustn't be to its negative or to its detriment, rather. And it must be to the benefit of South Africa in the broader sense. I've got one question, Mr. Chauke, that I just want to ask in terms of the APP. I should have actually asked it earlier. It's regarding the appointment of the PSIRA Council. In the APP, it says that the council was appointed in January of 2021, and that 2023-24 is the last year of the council, and the 2001 Act, stipulates an appointment period of 3 years, which was extended to an appointment of 5 years, and the term ends in 2026. So just some clarity on that, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, you're quite correct. I think there is a gap in terms of perhaps the last term of the last council. There was indeed a new council that was appointed early this year. The last term of the last council was last year, December. So early this year, I think around about April, there were 4 council members that were appointed. In the platform, we have 3 of them. As earlier said, the chairperson was supposed to be part of the platform, and unfortunately, there are matters beyond her control that unfortunately she could not attend today. We're hoping that she is well. So there is an additional council member that the minister will be considering to appoint, because there were supposed to be 5 council members. There were only 4 council members that were appointed in the current term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chalke. I'm noted. Colleagues, are there any closing comments regarding this presentation? Because if not, I would like us to briefly also speak about the oversight matter that I sent on the group yesterday. So if there are any closing remarks. If not, or if it is something lengthy that you need an answer on, please feel free, whether directly or through Babawa to make contact in writing, and through Mr. Chalke and the team to answer accordingly. Colleagues, so with that, if it's okay, I'd like to move on in the agenda. I'm also cautious of time. I know there are several committees today, and I know there's a plenary this afternoon. I want to, or would like to ask that we just briefly speak about the oversight visit. The idea behind the oversight came as first of all, came as a request from a member in the provincial legislature in the Eastern Cape. But just briefly before that, we had the discussion, or listed it as a discussion with the committee to speak about oversight, specifically in the Eastern Cape, where the whole extortion issue is becoming very rife. I think it's not only in the Eastern Cape. We obviously know all over the country it is something that is becoming extremely blatant, and it really is growing from larger types of extortion matters like the Intercape bus matter that will also still be considered with the committee. But also, I mean, for example, in Langa, where you have to even pay, if you want a TV in your house, you have to pay a protection fee, which is absolutely ridiculous. We would like to, thus, especially because of the police's increased capacity that has been sent to the Eastern Cape with regards to the whole extortion issue, to consider going there on oversight to determine whether the relevant things have really been put in place. And it's not so much in terms of questioning what has been done. In fact, we've welcomed it, and I think it's fantastic to see that from the executive side there has been this really fast step forward in terms of supporting with capacity. But it's also crucial for us to determine whether, in terms of investigative capacity and even a matter of prosecutorial capacity, I know it's not directly with this committee, but to determine whether from the investigation process, we can see whether SAPS has the support that they need from the Department of Justice to ensure. And obviously we can then at a later stage engage with the Justice Committee too. But yeah, I would like to get your input. The thoughts were that we should visit the Eastern Cape over the weekend of the 13th, 14th, 15th of September. The reason for the changes and my very poor communication, which I apologize for over the group and so on, was that I just felt yesterday that there's just no ways that we can do quality work at such short notice. I think it's important that if we do such an oversight visit, that it is done with the relevant, quality planning and input from all the members. Yeah, we would like to then, obviously, and we'll do this formally, still extend the invitation not only to the Secretariat but also to PSIRA. There are several stakeholders that we would want to engage and also invite on such a visit. And the two places that have been aimed for includes Nelson Mandela Bay as well as Mthatha. The House Chair proposed that we consider to split the visit in two, in terms of Nelson Mandela Bay and Mthatha. I, although, thought that it could be good, especially Mthatha, to actually go to Mthatha, where We know so many businesses have recently closed, where it really has become a crisis that has been looming for quite some time. So with that, keep it brief, please. But to all the members, please share your thoughts here now, and let's hear what you think of such an oversight visit. The other option is to do it after the next recess. It will give us even more time, but the first proposed date is that 2-3 days around the 13th of September. Members, your thoughts? Honorable Lehlape?
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think, you know what, the issue of Eastern Cape with the protection fees and all of that, and the crime overall has gotten to a point where it needs no discussion at this point. It needs us to all have our boots on and find ways and strategies on how we can prevent and decrease the crime rates in the Eastern Cape. And I would support that we do the oversight as early as possible. I missed some of your submission, but I think your submission was that we do it on the week of the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. And I would support that, because the committee unable to go and see the actual areas that are affecting communities and that are contributing to the crime rates. Like you said, also, we've got businesses that have closed down because of the crimes that are happening around them, and the fact that they are no longer able to protect themselves is really a crisis. And I would support that we do the oversight as early as possible, and the stakeholders that are to be with us. I think all of us need to be as flexible as possible, looking at the status and the conditions that we find ourselves. So I would support the 13th for oversight, and the 3 days would be able to come up with something maybe solid, and would have picked up some of the things that would need urgent attention by the committee and the departments. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Lehlape. Honorable Schikkerling?
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to concur with my colleague. I think it's important for us to, we have been mandated by our communities to go and have an oversight role, and I think it's important for us to get it done as soon as possible. So I'm quite happy with the date. We will wait on your office for when it is suitable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Schikkerling. Colleagues, I think that's the general sentiment. So within the next few hours, you will then receive communication to give us an idea of whether you can join or not. Please note that it's important that permanent members go. Unless there's a vacancy there, then additional members can, or alternate members can join in their place. So we will then communicate accordingly. So please watch the WhatsApp group, and obviously the relevant emails will also be sent. Colleagues, I think we can close. There is no additional points on the agenda for today. I would like to remind you that next week on Wednesday, we will be working through crime statistics that would have then already been able to be released, and we will then be able to engage with the Minister of Police and team, as well as the National Commissioner and team regarding the statistics. I want to urge you to please, once receiving the statistics, to be able to really study them and prepare properly for questions and for the discussion I think we will make sure that we've scheduled extensive time to really engage and be able to to really elaborate and discuss everything regarding the crime statistics. Colleagues, with that, if there aren't any additional points, I would like to move that we close for the day, that we adjourn. And good luck for everyone with any further committees today, and also with the plenary later today. I hope you have a good week and look forward to seeing you in the hallways at Parliament or otherwise next week at the committee. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
members. Bye.
Thank you, Chair.